Well, greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical here. I hope everybody's doing well and good. I know that as you're listening to this, you're most likely locked down like the rest of the world due to this COVID-19 coronavirus, Chinese virus, whichever you prefer. So here's the deal with this. I wanted to address it a little bit deeper today only because there are so many unknowns. I've been avoiding the subject a little bit for a lot of reasons. Number one, I think anybody that knows me or has discussed this with me knows, and I'm certainly far from alone in this, knows that I believe that without a doubt there is a lot more going on than just the virus. So I've had people ask me, are you suggesting that the virus is fake news and not real? And no way at all am I suggesting that. What I am suggesting, however, is that the response to this virus, given the information that we've been given, and believe me, you have to really weed through it because we're getting contradictions upon contradictions and some things that just simply are nonsensical. But given the information that we have, the response is a billion times bigger than we've seen in the past for things that were more volatile in terms of just the sheer numbers of death caused by the flu. And there's points to be made and then counterpoints, and one person can come up and say, look, the number of deaths we lose each year due to the flu is so much astronomically bigger than what we've lost here. But then the other side of that coin is, yeah, but this has got a higher mortality rate, or it's spreading faster, or whatever. Then you get, you got to wear a mask and you got to wear gloves. Then 5 days later, it doesn't do any good to wear a mask unless you're already infected, which makes no sense to me at all. I said to my wife yesterday, because there were arguments about they just tell you to wear the mask to avoid touching your nose, but it doesn't really help you one way or the other unless you're already sick. Well, you can be sick according to them. You can have this for days before you could be asymptomatic until you've already had it and you're spreading it around. And all I need to know, and I didn't finish high school, is that if you're telling me something comes in through the nose and the mouth, that if I cover up the nose and the mouth, that's going to be a protective barrier. So I believe that whole thing is just basically because they didn't want people getting the N95 masks ahead of the medical care workers and the first responders, whatever. My point with that is we're getting all kinds of conflicting information across the board, and it can stress you out. So the other side of this whole thing is the conspiracies that, and I use that word lightly, for those that are new to the channel, understand that, not that many years ago, I would have laughed at just about any conspiracy. I'm getting close to 58 now, and I've lived long enough and worked for the government long enough, and I worked in law enforcement on a state level. I can tell you that I've learned that I've been wrong a lot. So I don't necessarily write things off anymore. That doesn't mean I buy everything. I still believe the earth is round. But I'd be lying to you if I said that when I listen to the other side of that argument, I don't think, well, that is a valid point. So the thing is, I've learned not to discount anything 100%, because you only think something's wrong until it's proven right, and then you're wearing the clown's hat. So my philosophy when it comes to this type of thing with the conspiracies that are related to this scenario is that you take things with a grain of salt, but better to be safe than sorry. I mean, do I wear a mask and gloves if on the very few times that I need to go out and run to the store? Yeah, absolutely. Do I keep hand sanitizer in the truck? And yeah, I know I'm touching my nose. And do I take extra precautions that way? Yes, you may have noticed I shaved off my beard and my goatee. So, I don't write things off because I don't want to find out later that I wrote the wrong thing off, but I don't live in paranoia either. So let's talk about some of these conspiracies and how we're reacting, or how maybe we should or maybe we shouldn't react to them. You know, I've always said to everybody, don't live in panic or you're not living your life. You're just existing in fear, and you don't want to let this kind of thing freak you out. It gets hard sometimes because there is an ominous feeling to it that something huge is happening. And I believe something huge is happening. And so I've taken the precautions to make sure that our supplies are up to speed, that we could stay locked in this house for months and months if we had to. I've got enough supplies. I've got enough ways and a plan and plans, multiple plans to defend my family. I've got the weapons. I've got the ammunition. And these are things that I didn't run around and try to get at the last moment. These are things that I've been talking about for years on this channel. But it's never too late. If you haven't done it, listen, one thing that you do in the name of protecting yourself or preparing for an uncertain time is one thing that you didn't have before you did it, if that makes any sense. So why am I even making this video? Some of you probably know the name David Ike. Some of you never heard of David Ike. Some of you think David Ike's a nutcase. Some of you think he's a genius. Doesn't really matter. But David Ike is a guy that I've been following more or less for years. I mean, I've read a few of his books because many of you know that I'm very interested in the theories and concepts of aliens and UFOs and that kind of thing. David Ike appears on TV here in America often on I think it's the Discovery Channel, on Ancient Aliens and things like that. So he's an interesting person, but he's not a quack at all, in my opinion. And if anybody says, you know, if somebody comes and says something really strange, I'm liable to, you know, look at it and weigh it. But when he says it, I pay closer attention. So he's released some videos, and other people have cut his videos shorter and released them. There's a lot of David Ike going around right now. And the gist, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you the gist of his message and why it resonated with me and why I wanted to make this video. So he's talking about some information that he received from some credible people. And like I said, when David Ike says that, I believe it. That he's got credible sources within the intelligence agencies and the military, and that they've basically let him know, and they're well aware that he was going to release it and that it's not going to change anything. That in the next few days, sometime within the next few days, and maybe this won't happen, I'm letting you know in case it does, that at least here in the United States, I'm not sure about the global situation, but here in the United States, that the internet and telephones will be shut down for 3 days, and they're calling it 3 days of darkness. And the reason behind that, it would take me 7 hours to tell you what the possible reality is that's going on here. And I'll try to break it down as much as, you know, it's hard for me not to stray. I'm going to try and make it succinct if you're wondering what the hell I'm trying to say. Let's put the 3-day blackout thing on hold just for a second, and let's talk about the theory behind it. The theory goes, whether you believe it or not, I think you ought to consider it. The theory goes, and there are all kinds of components and things, religious components, and this belief and that belief, and the flat earthers and the fucking... You got to open your mind, otherwise it's not worth even hearing anything that anybody says, unless they agree with you. So for those with an open mind, the theory goes that this is all tied in loosely to Pizzagate, which had to do with this whole pedophilia thing. Now, this is not the main thing going on, but this is one of the last catalysts that kind of developed in this whole thing. So the virus is a real thing. I believe it was man-made. I believe it was designed to lower the population of the earth, and there's evidence that supports all of this. That this is why I think this. And that it either got out accidentally or it released. There's a theory that it mutated and became less fatal than it was when it was designed in the lab. There's patents for it. There's actually a patent number for it. Blah, blah, blah. But that because this virus thing is now a worldwide pandemic, this is a great opportunity to launch this mass arrest, which leads us to the 3-day blackout here in a second. So the idea is that troops are deploying all over Europe, which I just heard today there's some massive, like the most American troops have deployed to Europe since in 28 years. And that the leaders of the world governments, for the most part, are aware and involved of what's going on. And it all has to do with why President Trump was elected and how he came to office and the whole drain the swamp thing. And we all saw that the liberals tried to take down President Trump with this whole Russian hoax bullshit. That was a soft coup attempt. And when that didn't work, they did this whole impeachment thing, another soft coup attempt. And Hillary smashing fucking memories and hard drives and using bleach bit to destroy federal evidence. And all of us scratching our heads wondering, how could somebody do that and walk free? And we're all waiting to see something happen. And I hope that something is happening. I hope this is not just some fantasy that I'm having. I really don't think so. But in most of our minds, we've thought, well, shit, man, if somebody doesn't go to fucking prison behind all of this blatant bullshit and treason, then there is no fucking justice in America, at least. And that's a scary thought for those of us who are patriotic Americans. And so the one shred of hope we've hung on to is that Trump is putting things into motion. And apparently, according to David Ike, and search out the videos, that's exactly what's happening. And that this mass arrest is connected with this virus. It's keeping people locked in, keeping people locked down, keeping groups from gathering. And that when the phones go out and the internet goes down, that's the sign that these arrests are taking place. And that we sit for 3 days. But they know that there are people in the world's populations, and certainly here in America, that are going to lose their fucking minds because they have their own little ideas. They're going to think it's the end of the world. They may start committing mass suicide. They may think it's the government coming to get their guns, and they may go into frickin' civil war mode. Nobody knows how people are going to react because they don't know the details yet. But funny that David Ike said this, because I had actually said this on a couple of my TikTok videos, that I envision that very soon, any minute now, within the next couple of days or a week, you'll be watching TV and it'll be, we interrupt this program. This is coming live from the Oval Office, and it'll be the President of the United States saying something along the lines of, ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking to you from the Oval Office with a very important message. I'm going to ask that you stay calm and understand that things are happening right now as I speak. Arrests are taking place of this cabal that has been trying to take down the free world and blah blah blah. That we're going to get a message like that. And why would they need the whole military and all of the world to cooperate with arrests if it's just some bullshit crime? I'm not that pedophilia is a bullshit crime, but this is pretty huge. Well, the theory goes that the whole Epstein and pedophilia ring is a byproduct of this whole globalization, this group of very elitist people, the George Soroses, Clintons, even Oprah Winfrey, and some of these people that we look at, that Americans and people look at as high celebrities, people that are famous in the news, and Hollywood elitists, Tom Hanks, and then people in the royal family. Now you can start to see why we've got people going overseas. People in governments in high-powered positions, and people in the Defense Department, and people in the NSA, and generals, and everyone you can imagine that tie into this cabal of the Rockefellers and these bankers, these elitist bankers that have wanted to depopulate the earth for a long time. And there's a lot of evidence about this, meetings that took place and things that you got to research it yourself. Don't take my word for it. That they truly want to depopulate the earth massively so that it's easier to control, and that we are, in fact, have always been slaves to these people. There's a small 1% of the population that controls the other 99%, whether we like to hear that or not. And the fact of the matter is that when the concept is that when we realize that we've not only been lied to by our governments, but lied to for over maybe almost 100 years, in terms of what our purposes are here on earth. And that, nothing has ever made sense to me. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think there's got to be more to life than going to school, get an education, go get a job, go to work, come home, go to work, come home, go to work, come home, get old, go to work, come home, retire, and then go to the doctor, go to the doctor, go to the doctor, and die. It just seems like there's something wrong with such intricate beings as humans, that's all we are. Is we're like a giant fucking ant farm, and we just work, and they throw little shiny toys at us, and we think we're having fun. Hey, here's a 2-week vacation. Really? I mean, that's, we've advanced technologically enough to where, I mean, honest to God, I just don't think that we should be working like slaves like this. We should be focusing on developing more in like a spiritual sense, and learning things like how to use the rest of our brain that we don't use, and how to achieve longevity, not aborting millions of kids and fucking starting wars so that we can fucking raise and lower stocks and get oil and resources. It's so primitive. And I think that is all tied into the big change that's going to happen, because most of us have felt that a big change. Some people are going to look at this and think it's the rapture. Some people think that this is biblical. And I'm not necessarily saying it's not. If maybe this is all part of the biblical prophecies, but just remember that the end of the world has always been right around the corner since after Christ died. I mean, when Christ promised to return, I mean, every generation has seen signs that it's imminent, So I don't get too wrapped up in that, because when the time comes, it comes. Whether we're getting hit by a truck, we die of cancer, have a heart attack, get murdered, or something else happens. But my point is, please be ready. This is the point of the video. Be ready for the unknown. And if by chance all comms go down, and we have no phone, and we have no computer, no internet, we should get some messages from the White House or from the federal emergency thing on our phone. Does that mean you have to believe everything that you hear from the government? No. But given the evidence that I've tried my best to scour through, and I'm doing a terrible job of trying to, consolidate it for this video, I believe that I'm going to be happy if that happens, because I'm going to imagine that good things are happening. But I'm still going to have my AR-15 close by, my Glock on one, the Smith. I'm gonna be ready, because the thing that you can't trust are the reactions of the masses. I mean, if you got neighborhoods that are close to you where they don't have food, and they didn't store up, or they're not educated enough to give a shit to learn, and they may think it's the end of the world and run out and decide it's time to rape and pillage. Well, they'll be making a mistake if they come to my house, and I hope they'll be making a mistake if they come to yours. Don't be naive. Don't be driving around to see what's going on. Have a plan. Talk to your family. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to the people around you, and make sure that you have it together so that you can ride out a storm, whether it's 3 minutes or 3 days or 3 months. Just communicate with each other and be prepared for the unexpected. And it will be scary to people when they lose the internet and their phone capabilities if they've never thought this through. And right now, while you have access to the internet, don't listen to me on this channel. Go out and research it. But at least take a listen to David Ike. Now, his videos are very long for the most part, but they're packed with information. And, do a Wikipedia. Find out who your sources are. I mean, if you think he's a nutcase, then that's great. But you know what? Even nutcases are right from time to time, and I don't think he's a nutcase. Am I saying that I wouldn't bet money that this is going to happen? But I am praying that what he says is right, because in the grand scheme of things, the cleansing of the earth of evil demons walking around that have been using mankind and molesting kids and trafficking children, and all the way up to and including ritualistic homicide and the drinking of body fluids. I mean, it's all right there. And if we can get rid of them, then I'm a happy dude, man. And I'm all for it. So, am I nuts? What do you guys think? Put your comment or leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And thank you for watching. And just above all, stay safe. LMS Tactical, I'm out.